wearing number 12. We have Texas Chainsaw Sass Kicker, number 19. She played a little bit earlier this afternoon for Ohio's Gangrene in a bout against the Bay Street Bruisers in a B game here. Hop Devil, number 33. The Smackavist, 365. Very popular skater out of Ohio. 451 is Bernadette. 50 is Skate Crime. All right, number 59 is Z. Lorraine Acid Gulerdigan. That's Bill Murray, the house announcer for Toronto Roller Derby, who is currently doing the intros, by the way. Big Rig 815. In a Flash, ICU2 is her number. And Electra Magneto V0LT. Volts is what that spells. She is bringing up the rear there for Ohio right now. Inspector Muffin in his first year as coach for the Ohio Roller Girls, wearing the A for this one.
And the Ohio Roller Girls come into this tournament ranked 22nd in the WFTDA. Both of these teams, though, have suffered losses already today and are 0-1. Now going to send things over to Joey Miller for our national anthems.
Joey Miller, who's here as a photographer representing the Bleeding Heartland Roller Girls. Also shoots from Nashville. He took the mic and ran with it. So wonderful job there by Joey on the anthems. I'll have to thank him later.
He's a Renaissance man, and he looks great in a bow tie.
He does.
All right,
who doesn't, though?
We'd like to thank our Tor TV crew, of course. Layer 9, Mr. Force is producing. Honey Boom Boom will be directing, fresh off of a victory for the Bay Street Bruisers. And our camera crew tonight is Titmouse, Lowblow, Palooza, Demolition Dawn, and Wheels of Misfortune will be our text caster. You can talk to us at talk2 QCC on Twitter. And here we are. First game of our primetime doubleheader is now underway.
That's right. Bleeding Heartland in white. That's number 44, Knuckle Sammy, who's jamming for Bleeding Heartland. And Ohio in black, the Smacktivist. And the Smacktivist is our first lead jammer of this Game 4 of QCC.
Both these jammers had phenomenal games earlier on. Knuckle Sammy really caught CN Power off guard in the early goings of their game. Picked up a lot of points, but it's the Smacktivist right now picking up points. Picks up 4, calls it off.
Both jammers really good with footwork. Lots of close calls on cutting that they are able to save and stay in bounds during the early going this afternoon.
So first blood goes to Ohio Roller Girls. This is the 5th WFTDA-sanctioned meeting lifetime between these two teams. Ohio has the decided advantage right now. They've won all 4 of those previous meetings.
And Ohio is sending to the 1234 skate code jammer line right now. Number 12, Kitty Lickerbottom. And jamming in the white for Bleeding Heartland is 135 Speedium Rear, another jammer who had some early success against Toronto earlier today.
That's right. Toronto, of course, turned that game around. Bleeding Heartland got off to a great start, and they're looking to do the same here, but it's Ohio now picking up their second straight lead jammer, and Kitty Lickerbottom is your lead jammer. Nice little drag back there by Ohio, but the Bleeding Heartland jammer does eventually make her way through. Kitty Lickerbottom coming up on her scoring pass now. It's got a few to beat on the first straightaway. Does. Takes a look at her bench, decides to call it off. Another quick pickup for Ohio. They're now up 8-0 after 2 jams.
Yep. Now making an appearance on the 1234 skate code jammer line, the Smacktivist once again 365 in black for Ohio. New jammer on the line for Bleeding Heartland is 314 Bipolar Curves.
Bleeding Heartland, of course, lost earlier today to CN Power 384 to 69. Ohio lost as well, pretty big, 385 to 158 to the Montreal New Skids on the block. So both teams, one of these teams is going to get their first win of this tournament.
That's right. Last year, Ohio swept the tournament and went 3-0 here at QCC. It's their second appearance at Quad City Chaos, their third time playing in Toronto, as they did play here in the summer of 2012.
And the Smacktivist is lead jammer again. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of Smacktivists in this game. Already going back, taking 1 off, 1 on. And I expect we'll see that a lot, at least until Ohio can build some sort of lead here. Nice little drag back on the Smacktivist, is trying to pick up points, calls it off. We'll get at least 3. And all 4 points picked up for Smacktivist on that one.
And yeah, Mac may be trying to get in there to be considered for MVP of this tournament. There will be an MVP ceremony on Sunday afternoon following Game 8. One of the main prizes will be provided by Radar Wheels. Radar Wheels, big sponsor here this weekend. Radar Presto is proud to sponsor Quad City Chaos, they say. Radar Presto, say, these are nice.
4-3 pack advantage here for Ohio. First penalty of the game going to the Bleeding Heartland blocker. It's Out of My Way Man, number 10 in the black, jamming, pushing her way through a 2-wall at turn number 2, and another lead jammer picked up for Ohio. And that is 4th lead jammer in a row for the skaters in black.
Knuckle Sammy has made it through the pack. She's completed her initial pass, but she is a little bit far behind right now, so she's going to see if she can pick up some ground before Out of My Way Man calls this jam.
And Out of My Way Man will pick up 3 points on that pass to pad the Ohio Roller Girls lead now 15-0 as we just come up to the 4-minute mark of the first half. Very impressive, the endurance of these Ohio skaters. There's a couple of skaters on the team who are playing their 3rd game of the day. They also played for Gangrene in the B-team game just a few hours ago.
That's Kitty Lickerbottom. She's right now sitting in the sugarbomb.ca penalty box, number 12 for Ohio.
Smacktivist again, 1 off, 1 on, back onto the 1234 jam line for the Ohio Roller Girls in black.
Speedium Rear jamming right now for Bleeding Heartland. Both jammers rounding turn 2. Lots of jostling in this pack right now.
Bleeding Heartland has the front of the pack, hoping to hold Smacktivist back, but nice offense being run by Ohio, and Smacktivist is through for the 5th straight lead jammer pickup.
However, Speedium Rear right on her tail.
Oh, and Smacktivist getting physical, sends Speedium Rear off the track, and she will be swallowed by the pack. And Avatar with another nice hit out and a drag back as well.
That was a great hit by Mac on Speedy and rear. Looks like she's going to try to lap her.
Smacktivists doing it all. Great defensive jamming. Nice moves. Have picked up at least 3 points on this pass, looking for that fourth and final. And there it is, 5 points picked up on the Grand Slam for the Smacktivist. This is exactly, I think, the kind of start that the Ohio Roller Girls were looking for and didn't get earlier today against Montreal.
Yeah, and right now we've got Speedy Mirror dragged all the way back to the good old-fashioned pivot line there by Amy Spears. That's going to allow Smacktivist to come around again for more points.
A nice little outside-in juke there.
Mac is running this like a power jam, although it is not a power jam.
Phenomenal defense from the Ohio blockers. It's 4-on-4 in the pack. But advantaged clearly right now going, and it looks like Avatar is going to get an elbowing penalty for that. And that's going to tie things up 3-3 in the pack. No, another Ohio blocker. And this is a problem that Ohio ran into earlier, too, with many blocker penalties, and now only 2 blockers on the track. That jam is going to come to an end.
And it looks like we're going to get a timeout being called on the track here by Bleeding Heartland. It's a reminder that this timeout, like all timeouts this weekend at Quad City Chaos, is brought to you by Jackson Skates. Jackson Roller is a Canadian company committed to engaging elite skaters in product development to ensure its boots deliver world-class performance. Jackson Elite and competitor boots feature the Pilot Falcon extruded aluminum plates, Bionic Swiss bearings, and your choice of atom. That would be Juke, G-Rod, or DNA wheels. Visit them online at jacksonroller.com.
And Bleeding Heartland taking this timely timeout down 40-0, 6 minutes into this first half. They had such a great start, really caught CN Power off guard before CN Power could kind of take control of that game. But Bleeding Heartland has kind of been bleeding since about the 15-minute mark of that first half. And they've got to try and stem the flow.
You had that one in your back pocket, didn't you?
Only 6 points they've scored in the last 46 minutes of roller derby. So they're going to have to try and pick up some offense here somewhere. They do have a 3-2 pack advantage. See if they can use it.
Ohio right now sending a new jammer to this 1234 Skako jammer line, and that's a Big Rig in the black, and Knuckle Sammy, number 44 for Bleeding Heartland, in white, also on that 1234 Skako jammer line.
Although Knuckle Sammy setting up a little bit behind the jam line, hoping to maybe slip by Big Rig, but Big Rig is keeping an eye over her shoulder. And a nice little hit out from Big Rig. She was ready for that, but Knuckle Sammy with a very quick, clean re-entry. Oh, sorry, it is a no pass, no penalty, so she is not your lead jammer. Out of my way, man, just took a high block to the head. She's all right, though. And Knuckle Sammy around, and there it is. First points on the board now for the Bleeding Heartland Roller Girls. That timeout obviously worked.
Big Rig gets through and calls it as soon as she is eligible. But not before a Grand Slam. 5 big roller derby points come up for Bleeding Heartland.
Power pack advantage remains for Bleeding Heartland. And sending another new jammer to the line. That's number 13 in the white, Shanda Rude.
Yep, she's one of the captains for Bleeding Heartland.
Did jam a little bit late in the game against CN Power. Gives kind of a physical component to the offense.
She does, for sure. And Kitty Lickerbottom, number 12, jamming for Ohio. And we have a lead jammer for Bleeding Heartland. They're going to try to take advantage of this. So far, it appears that whatever was said during that timeout may have been the right thing, at least for right now, for Bleeding Heartland Flatliners.
And already there was a helmet cover pass as Out of My Way Man is taken over as jammer from Kitty Lickerbottom. But Shanda Rude already coming around to score the second straightaway. Nice fast pack defense from the Ohio skaters in black. Oh, back block being called on Shanda Rude. She is heading to the penalty box. That momentum that they just picked up, slipping away from Bleeding Heartland as Ohio goes on their first power jam of this game.
And yeah, she was ready to call that jam before Ohio scored. And unfortunately, yeah, she is now sitting in the sugarbomb.ca penalty box over by turn 4 here at the bunker at Quad City Chaos.
And with no lead jammer, this will go the full 2 minutes. There's a full minute left on the jam clock.
That was a big hit there by number 407, Hurricane, dropping Out of My Way Man over by turn 2.
Keep your eye on number 407. She delivered some big hits in the CN Power game earlier today, too. She can be a menace in the pack. But right now being a menace is Out of my Wayman, who is just racking up the points on this power jam. 55-5, 30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, she was just doing some adjustments there on her jammer camel cutter. The bench kind of giving her hand signals like, make sure that doesn't fall off. Can't score if you're not wearing the star.
Wow, interesting little argument going on the track there. I don't think the referee saw that. It was actually the pivot who was back with those skaters, and there was no pack called. And the Ohio blockers were not happy about that at all. Out of my way, man takes a big tumble at turn number 4, gets right back up. Smart move showing her back to the blocker.
Yeah, Mercedes, last one to beat, has to let her go.
Just as Rude gets back onto the track, so power jam is over.
Yeah, that was a 25-2 jam in favor of Ohio.
Wow, 65-7, just coming up to the just past the 9-minute mark of this first half of the first of 2 games coming up this evening here at the Quad City Chaos. I'd like to remind you, too, that this is all DVR compatible, so if you miss the beginning of the game, feel free to back it up, start at the beginning, and you'll get caught right back up, and you won't miss a thing.
That's right. Right now, jamming for Ohio, number 365 in black is the Smacktivist, and number 314 for Bleeding Heartland, that's Bipolar Curves. However, the Smacktivist is your lead jammer right now.
Oh, more big hits. Lorraine Acid, who suffered a pretty bad injury to her hand in the first game, got it taped back up and missed about 2 jams, I think.
Yeah,
and
she's heavily wrapped right now, but I know it was run by our tournament head referee, Mattisfaction, and deemed that it is playable.
These Ohio roller girls are tough. I think they would have to actually lose limbs to stay off the track.
That's right.
And Smacktivist coming around now on yet another scoring pass, goes right into the block of the Bleeding Heartland blocker, chest to chest, but a nice little hit out by Malls Dolls.
Yep, number 594 in the white. Very imposing stature on the track. Mac with a nice move is through.
5 more points. Ohio Roller Girls running away with it early on in this one, 75-7, just over 10 minutes into the first half.
Yeah, they're trying to make up for that stinging loss they took to Montreal's new Skids on the block in the first bout of Quad City Chaos.
I'll tell you, it was kind of historic. They were the only 2 teams that had lifetime undefeated records at the Quad City Chaos. And that dropped Ohio to 3-1, and Montreal now 7-0 lifetime. Smacktivist calls that one off after a big pickup. 80-7 now is the score.
I just want to quickly tell you about one of our main vendors here at Quad City Chaos, also a sponsor, the Rumbling Rage Derby Shop. The Rumbling Rage Derby Shop is a Canadian roller derby-owned company based up in Barrie, Ontario. Beautiful Barrie, Ontario, not too far north of the city. And their mission is to provide you with accessible, high-quality products to play roller derby. You can find them online at rumblingrage.com. And if you're making an appearance here at the bunker this weekend, you can visit their booth.
Out of my way, man, jamming in quickly out to the front of the pack, but gets knocked out of bounds. Forced to come in behind the pack. This gives Knuckle Sammy an opportunity to work on the inside, and she is through at turn 2. Lead jammer for the Bleeding Heartland Roller Girls, only their second pickup of the game.
That's right. Paige Bleed, 0125, almost had her at turn 2, but she just squeaked by on the inside.
And out of my way, man, able to push those blockers out of the way and get through on her first pass, but Knuckle Sammy already picking up points. And there it is, 4 more points put on the board for Bleeding Heartland. Sends them into double digits. Nice fast pack defense here from Bleeding Heartland. The Ohio blockers trying to catch up and just peel 1 point back. Out of my way, man. Finally calls it a jam and calls it off.
So not quite halfway through the first. 17 and a half minutes will be left on the period clock when this jam gets going. Your score right now, 80 for Ohio, 11 for Bleeding Heartland. And now appearing on the 1234 Skate Co. jammer line, we have number 13, Shandarood for Bleeding Heartland. And it looks like 365, the Smacktivist, returning to the line for Ohio.
2 very physical jammers. Similar styles. Smacktivist now coming up against a 2-wall at the front. Jukes out and then tries to take an inside line, but gets knocked to the inside, and that allows Shandarood to get through and pick up lead jammer.
That's right. Hurricane just slowed down Mac just enough to get her own jammer through.
And for the first time in this game, Smacktivist having a hard time, and a nice pickup again for Bleeding Heartland. That's 2 in a row now where they've gotten lead and picked up points. Only 3 on the board there, but nonetheless, they're slowly climbing their way back into it.
That's right. You're not going to see Mac get shut out very often. That's a rarity, I think, for this weekend in general.
The 2012 North Central WFTDA North Central Region Jammer MVP. And of course, this Ohio team made a big appearance at championships last year in Milwaukee, defeating Rat City in the first game before falling to the mighty Gotham Roller Girls.
That was, I believe, it was Lorraine Acid with a nice hit to the infield on Knuckle Sammy. Knuckle Sammy right now showing that amazing footwork as she rounds turn 1. She's still determined to get through.
Yeah, an excellent skater, fast and agile, but having a hard time against a very smart Ohio pack. A nice little shove by Out of My Way Man to Avatar, who was almost able to knock Knuckle Sammy out, but Knuckle Sammy shrugs off the hit and gets through and is your lead jammer, as Big Rig also having a hard time against the 3-wall of Bleeding Heartland, led by
so yeah, Special Sass, I believe, is up there, causing a lot of damage as well. In fact, looks like Special Sass on her way to the SugarBomb.ca penalty box right now. I believe that was a blocking out of an out-of-play block there.
There's a big train on the way to the penalty box right now. The Sugar Bomb penalty box filling up quickly. Bruzy Ricardo going to come to the line for the first time for the Flatliners in this game.
Yep, Bruzy Ricardo, a late addition to the jammer rotation in their opening bout against Toronto earlier today. Had some success, so they're going to see if mixing things up a bit will see if they can minimize the damage that's happening right now. Your score is halfway through, 80-16 in favor of Ohio.
Oh, and a nice little push to the outside by Out of My Way Man. Frees up enough space and time for her jammer to get through, and Smacktivist is your lead jammer again. And the veterans really coming through for Ohio. A big hit, though, from number 13. Shanda Rude jamming and hitting and doing it all. And being sent to the penalty box.
Yes.
Really fast pack now. Out of My Way Man, the pivot for Ohio, just pulling this pack along, trying to buy enough time for Smacktivist to catch up and force a call off. And it does happen. I'm not sure if any points are picked up on that one.
I see one donut looking for the other one.
There's some discussion between the ref confirming the outside ref and no with the outside ref. No call.
And your jammer refs at the moment, Tall Glass of Water from the Tri-City Roller Girls of Kitchener, Ontario, and Divine Intervention from Montreal Roller Derby in Montreal, Quebec. An official timeout being called on the track right now.
And this timeout is brought to you by Jackson Skates. It's jacksonroller.com. Skater owned and operated here in Southern Ontario.
Yep, Jackson Roller also contributing to MVP awards this weekend.
Oh, nice.
The B teams will also be getting MVPs on Sunday, and Jackson Roller, along with Rumbling Rage, both companies have contributed to the MVP awards this weekend.
Excellent. Now, if you're just tuning in to the Quad City Chaos, this is the 4th game of the day, the opening day, and the 3rd WFTDA-sanctioned bout. Earlier on, we saw Montreal's new Skids on the block, ranked 17 in the WFTDA, take down number 22 ranked Ohio 385 to 158 in a very impressive and dominant performance by Montreal's new Skids on the block. That was followed up by Toronto's CN Power, ranked number 29, taking on the 42nd ranked Bleeding Heartland, and Toronto CN Power won that one 384 to 69. And we just saw the Bay Street Bruisers from Tord take down Ohio's Gangrene 304 to 94. So it's been a successful day for Canada.
So far. Well, and of course the next bout between Toronto and Montreal, I mean, I think we'll see some more success for somebody from Canada.
And failure.
Yes.
Yeah, tune in for that. That is coming up at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Very, very anticipated showdown between two of Canada's top-ranked teams, or the 2 top-ranked teams in Canada right now. It's been a bout that the anticipation's been building, I think.
It has, and it's one of 2 meetings for these 2 squads in this calendar year. They also have a planned meeting in April that'll be in Montreal at Arena St. Louis, leading into Montreal's home team tournament called Beast of the East. Right now, my ref nut, who is one of our officials here at Quad City Chaos, is giving Derby Nerd a bit of an update as to what's going on. But while we're waiting for that, on the 1234 skate code jammer line right now, we've got a new jammer for Bleeding Heartland. That's 594 Malls Dolls, and number 12 for Ohio in black is Kitty Lookerbottom. And Derby Nerd, what do we have?
So number 70, the Mercedes from the Bleeding Heartland Roller Girls, was in queue for the penalty box, but skated out of bounds on her own volition. She was not told to go to the box, thereby destroying the pack and incurring an extra minute. And so she's still waiting in the queue, and she'll be serving 2 minutes when she does get there. And there she is on her way now to the penalty box.
Of course, here at Quad City Chaos, we are still using the June 2013 WFTDA rule set. The set that will take effect April 1st, not being employed this weekend, so all penalties are scheduled as 60 seconds, not 30.
Both packs running into a lot of penalty trouble here as we near just past the midway point of the first half. All three on the track, though, for Ohio, 3-2 pack advantage. Smacktivist jamming in the black, and Knuckle Sammy back out there in the white. And we're off. Smacktivist looking for a line on the inside. Jukes a little bit on the outside past Hurricane, and she is your lead jammer.
Lorraine Acid almost catching Knuckle Sammy. Knuckle Sammy now coming up on the inside, gets past Amy Spears, is through on her initial pass, is not lead jammer though, and that honor does go to Smacktivist.
Smacktivist coming up now on a scoring pass, but it's a nice fast pack. There's only 4 blockers on the track right now. Smacktivist finally able to get around Hurricane, gets 1 point, looking for the other 3. 1 left to beat on the second straightaway. Nice one-on-one defense from the Bleeding Heartland blocker. Finally, though, out of play, Bruzy Ricardo getting a penalty for her extra efforts outside of the engagement zone.
Yeah, she got barked at her bench as she went by. I don't think she quite agreed with that call, but she is going to the sugarbomb.ca penalty box nonetheless.
Oh, and a nice apex jump from Knuckle Sammy to get around the Ohio blockers. Smacktivist letting this one go, and this is a very, very fast pack.
Yeah, this is why you practice endurance, ladies and gentlemen. The pace that they're going right now. We're actually getting a bit of a breeze here over at the Bowcast table, which is behind the team benches.
And I actually think that a game of this pace will definitely favor Ohio in the long run. They are noted for their ultra endurance. They, of course, play massive schedules. They played 24 games in 2012, for example. A little less last year, but they're known for their endurance. And we saw that Bleeding Heartland, that stamina really started to affect them late in the game against CN Power.
Right now, just watching Shanda Rude, captain for Bleeding Heartland, number 13. She's just skated very gingerly on her way to the bench. Seems to be favoring a foot or an ankle.
I saw she had a very awkward fall, and I don't want to guess. I'm not a doctor, but
we do have medics here at the bunker.
That's right. So they don't need the Derby nerd to be a doctor.
At the moment, she is just trying to shake this one off. It looks like having a bit of a conversation. But meanwhile, on the track, lead jammer for Ohio is 815, Big Rig for Ohio.
And trapped in the pack and being swallowed up right now is number 135 in the white Speedium rear. Finally, with 1 to beat, out of my way, man. Has to let her go. There was some confusion on whether or not there was enough skaters to form a pack on the track. And we can see the wear and tear starting to affect this Bleeding Heartland team. Skaters slow to get up. Lorraine Acid wreaking havoc on those blockers, and Speedium rear coming off the track is another pickup for Ohio. There were 2 points, picked up for Speedium rear at the very end of that jam. 100 now to 22, Ohio just passing the century mark.
Another sponsor here at Quad City Chaos is Monster Muffin. Monster Muffin, Canadian-made alter ego athletic clothing. Derby owned and operated, aren't they all? We bring you the best to look your best and play your best. Find yourself today at monstermuffin.com.
And back underway now, Kitty Lickerbottom back out there, number 12 in black for Ohio, and she is fighting with the 3-wall at the front. Makes a nice little inside-out juke. She's your lead jammer.
Meanwhile, Skate Crime managed to take Bipolar Curves bit down the track, and so Bipolar Curves is only now completing her initial pass for Bleeding Heartland.
And Kitty Lickerbottom in the pack and picking up points now. Looking for an outside line, sees it, and calls it off. And I don't think she meant to.
Yeah, she's kind of like, oh, do you see the look on her face? She's kind of wondering, am I still skating around?
some confusion here.
Inspector Muffin is already in the infield. He's conferring with John Dilks. John Dilks is the crew head for this ref crew, by the way.
So Kitty Lickerbottom, I can see, is saying that she only touched her hips once and then didn't do the second time, but jam's called off. Jam's called off.
Just to let you know, this particular crew that we have out here right now, your crew head is John Dilks. We also have Jules and Regulations, Tall, Glass of Water, Divine Intervention, Hobbit, Patricide, and Parking Lot are the rest of the skating officials for this bout.
It's a pretty impressive roster of skaters, and John Dilks coming all the way up from Philly, right?
That's right. This is, by the way, John Dilks' first Quad City Chaos, as he is a pod person that took over the body of Statsy, who was here last year. So John says that he's very honored to be here for the second time, first again.
The second time, first again.
Something like that. Looks like my RefNet's going to come over to give Derby Nerd a bit of an update as to what the discussion was. Meanwhile, on the 1234 skate code jammer line, we've got Smacktivist for Ohio, and looks like number 44, Knuckle Sammy for Bleeding Heartland. Derby Nerd, what do we have?
Just getting a little update that, yes, the jam ref did acknowledge that he was a little too quick on the whistle on that one. But again, jam was called off, so you can't reverse the called off jam.
Cannot turn back time as much as you'd like to. Knuckle Sammy, though, currently lead jammer for Bleeding Heartland.
Being hunted down by a determined Smacktivist. And Ohio with a nice quick pack as Avatar gets peeled off at the back, and that allows Knuckle Sammy to come in. Call it off. And did she call it off in time? Inspector Muffin does not believe so. He's in the middle of the track, and he's demanding a track cut on that one.
Knuckle Sammy's jammer ref was taken out at the same time.
And perhaps didn't see it.
So I'm wondering if that's what the discussion is, but we don't want to speculate here. So we'll let the officials sort it out as we have an official timeout. And, of course, as all timeouts are this weekend, this one is also brought to you by Jackson Skates. Remember, they have that Jackson Create a Skate program that provides retailers and skaters with the opportunity to mix and match components to create skates best suited to their performance requirements. And you know what? Jackson Roller now also carries a men's line of roller skates. Get fitted for them today, jacksonroller.com. Currently looking at, that was the Honey Badger mascot for Bleeding Heartland.
Oh, yeah, the Honey Badger.
I'm told what that creature is, by the way.
Oh, nice. All right, well, and there's a Honey Badger, of course, plays for the Montreal New Skids on the Block.
That's right. So I'll have to get all these people together. We will have a bit of a mascot fest this evening. I imagine that for the Toronto-Montreal game, we will be seeing Sparkle and Bolts, the CN Power mascot. I know there was a dancing bottle of ketchup at turn 3 earlier today.
That cursed bottle of ketchup. It follows Canadian roller derby around. I think it was born at the Beast of the East a couple years ago.
That's right. We have a lot of condiments as mascots in this country. I don't know if that's unique to Canada, or at least Eastern Canada. I know there was a mustard.
I would think so.
Montreal, of course, has a hot dog. I understand the hot dog did not come to Quad City Chaos this year, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, the hot dog is playing, so the hot dog didn't bring the costume.
Oh, right. Well, yeah. And no bananas this year either.
That's right.
I haven't seen Banana in a long time, actually. Maybe if anyone on the Twitterverse, you can tell us what happened to Banana at Talk 2 QCC.
So there was a cut call initiated, or a cut call that appears to be on the jam at the end of the fourth. You're going to get it like during the fourth.
Yeah.
So Knuckle Sammy is on her way to the penalty box.
That was a cut. It was between the first and fourth whistle. She entered the track before the fourth whistle had been blown, and therefore it's a cut, and therefore it is a power jam for the Ohio Roller Girls. And they're nursing a massive lead right now, too. 79 points.
Yep, and that's so starting off as the only jammer on the 1234 skate code jammer line is number 10, Adaway Wayman. Laura Adaway Wayman for Ohio.
And probably the most experienced line they have right now of Lorraine Acid, Amy Spears, and Avatar. And they're holding back a blocker and a nice trap at Lorraine Acid, who is at least half the size of the other blocker. Couldn't quite hold her. Oh, nice. Out of my way, man. Absorbing a couple blows. Gets through, picks up her 5.
Yep, Bleeding Heartland forced to just wait for Out of My Way, man. Now Ohio coming in to do a sweep. Mercedes coming up there, last line of defense along with 407 Hurricane. A couple of shoulder hits from Mercedes, has to let her go. That's another 5 big roller derby points for Ohio.
Speaking of effective lines, this has been a very effective line as well. Oh, and Big Rig just getting back on the track, getting sent off again for a procedure. I'm going to assume she came on the track in front of someone. Out of my way, man.
Looking for people to get out of her way, and they eventually do.
Yeah, she took a step back, saw the inside line, and took it. And bursting back onto the track, though, is Knuckle Sammy. I didn't barely notice it. The pack definitely didn't. She got through, and she's around on her second pass now. So What Am I Wayman calls it off.
So we do get one final point coming in for Ohio on that jam. That's going to put them to 120, 25 points for the Bleeding Heartland Flatliners, and there's just under 7 minutes left in the first half.
It's been kind of a surprising day of one-sided games. I wasn't expecting that coming into this weekend, but it has been. When you think back to the last year, Bay Street Bruisers and Gangrene, for example, had a very tight game here at the, or comparatively tight game here at the QCC, and it was decidedly more one-sided this year. Oh, sneaking in on the inside as Smacktivist was distracting all of the blockers. Lead jammer goes to Bleeding Heartland.
Yeah, and that's Bruzy Ricardo
again. Yeah.
Smacktivist taken down by Special Sass, number 38.
Big hit from Special Sass. There are some big hitting blockers on this Bleeding Heartland team. The Mercedes heading back to the penalty box. Another penalty for the Bleeding Heartland pivot. Bruzy Ricardo has already picked up 4 points, going around for another scoring pass now. Smacktivist is through. Ohio really controlling the pace of this pack with 3 blockers to 1. And it looks like she's going to be forced to call it off before she picked up any points. No points picked up for Bruzy Ricardo on that one. 120 to 29. 5.5 minutes to go in the opening half of this 4th game of the 2014 Quad City Chaos.
That's right. This is, of course, the second game for both of these teams today. They'll both be back in action here tomorrow on Sunday here in Toronto. At 1 o'clock, Bleeding Heartland tomorrow will be taking on Montreal's new Skids on the block. And at 3 o'clock, Ohio will be taking on Toronto's CN Power in the final game of this year's Quad City Chaos. Those times, 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, are at Eastern.
Don't miss that Ohio CN Power game. Talking about last year's Quad City Chaos, there was a thrilling matchup between those two teams. 45 points was the difference, with Ohio coming out on top. Of course, that was the beginning of their march to the championships.
Yeah, Quad City Chaos last year for Toronto was not the success they were looking for. They wound up going 1-2 in that tournament last year with a victory over Queen City. Heartland lost to Ohio, and an upset to the Rideau Valley Vixens from Ottawa, Ontario. Rideau Valley had made that the first all WFTDA tournament for Quad City Chaos last year. They were the newest member.
That's right. Knuckle Slammy very intelligently. Oh, never mind. I was going to say very intelligently waited for the skater who dragged her back to be out of play. Oh, yeah, and she avoided the cut, but then picked up a back block as she re-entered the pack. A little hot.
So, yeah, she did the one thing right, and then that other thing didn't go as well as hoped. So she's now in the sugarbomb.ca penalty box.
And Kitty Lickerbottom very easily glides around the lone Bleeding Heartland blocker to pick up 5 points. With some reinforcements now coming out of the penalty box. 2 blockers on the track for Bleeding Heartland. Kitty Lickerbottom going one-on-one. Pushes her way through at turn 1. 5 more points put on the board.
Yeah, right now, early on, the story does seem to be penalties here. Ohio not looking too bad on the whiteboards. They have a few skaters sitting with 2, but Bleeding Heartland's got 1, 2, 3 skaters with 3 trips to the box, and number 70, Mercedes, has been 4 times. So they're going to want to try to nip that in the bud and get back in this game.
And she's such an important skater for them, too. They can't risk losing her. She's off in their pivot. And Kitty Lickerbottom forced to the inside, forced to come back into the pack and get through, but she gets knocked to the outside this time, so having a hard time in this pass. Nice work by the 2 Bleeding Heartland blockers. Now Kitty Lickerbottom gets through, picks up 5. Mercedes, Amy Spears, both coming back on the track for their respective teams. A nice little hit out from Out of My Way Man.
Hurricane coming to blows with the Avatar.
Knuckle Slammy dancing on the outside line, managing to stay in though. Mercedes with a big hit to Kitty Lickerbottom, forcing her out and forcing her back. Nice work by the Bleeding Heartland blockers, and Kitty Lickerbottom decides just to reset rather than re-enter.
some nice round numbers on the scoreboard right now. 150 for Ohio, 30 for Bleeding Heartland. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that's a 120-point lead with about 3 minutes left on the period clock.
That's pretty good math for an announcer.
Well, I do have a pen and paper and carry the one, and that's how it all works.
I tried to count it on my fingers, but I realized I don't have 150 of them.
Just a guy last year that I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Coming off the 1234 Skateco jammer line, 135 in white for Bleeding Heartland. That's Speedy Rear.
And jamming for Ohio and heading straight to the
box.
Penalty box is with her first jam of the game, too.
It's Hop Devil, number 33.
Yes, thank you. So Hop Devil getting an opportunity with the star and going straight to the penalty box.
Speedy Rear taking a couple of large hits there from Avatar. Another couple of shoulder hits. Stays on her feet and is lead jammer, and now has a power jam at her disposal. Boy. 2 minutes left on the period clock.
That was bruising, though. It took her 30 seconds just to get through the pack and pick up that lead jammer status, and now she's got to do it all over again to pick up a few points.
And Lorraine Acid out there, too, along with Bernadette and Avatar.
Thigh Candy with a nice little offensive block, but it didn't open up a big enough hole. And more recycling. Speedy Rear going all the way back, and you can see that she is winded. They do have a pivot on the track. It's number 314, Bipolar Curves, and she can definitely jam.
Yeah, but she's way on the other side of the track. Can't hand that panty over, and she does call it.
3 points picked up on that power jam. Phenomenal defense from the Ohio Roller Girls. They've got all 4 of their blockers on the track. And all 4 of the blockers back on the track, too, for Bleeding Heartland. We've got some, I was going to say we have 5-on-5 roller derby, but
we have 5-on-4.
5-on-4 roller derby.
So Speedy Rear calls that one, and just to get a fresher jammer out, and that's going to be Knuckle Sammy, 44 on the 1234 Skateco jammer line. She's going to take this power jam over and see if she can cause some damage.
And Hop Devil is standing. She's coming out of the box now, so penalty is over. Power jam done. Here she comes.
She's already got the pivot, pivot lined up, and then she's going to hand that star to Kitty Liquorbottom.
Nice little drag back from Avatar, is having herself a game right now. Nice job. Knuckle Sammy getting a little frustrated. Decides to try and sneak through the inside and does, and almost a nice apex jump, but couldn't quite stay in bounds, and she's forced to go all the way back now. And you can just see the frustration. Finally destroying the pack being called, sending one of the Ohio blockers to the box. Knuckle Sammy back on the track, tries to weave her way through them, and finally gets through on the second straightaway, just as the jam gets called off.
Yeah, that blocker going back to the sugarbomb.ca penalty box was Hop Devil, because she was a jammer when she came out of the box, but she's a blocker as she goes back in, having passed the star to Kitty Liquorbottom.
That's an interesting jam. That'll be an interesting stat line.
Time is running out of the period, and nobody calls a timeout. So we could be going to halftime with this score. Currently showing 156 for Ohio, 33 for Bleeding Heartland.
And it looks like that's going to do it. We are going to go to halftime now. A very impressive half for the Ohio Roller Girls. And I have to say it was that explosive start that really set the tone for Ohio and perhaps put Bleeding Heartland on their heels a bit. And they kind of ran away with it. That's
right. And, the Bleeding Heartland did come out very strong in the opening minutes of their bout against CM Power earlier. Took Toronto about halfway through the first half to start chiseling away at that lead. There were some lead changes. We're seeing a very different game right now than what we saw. And this is actually turning into very much what we saw in the second half of that bout.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so that's going to do it for the first half here. It's 156-33 is the lead. We'll be back in exactly 14 minutes for the second half of this matchup between the Ohio Roller Girls and the Bleeding Heartland Flatliners.
And we're back. We're back for the second half here at Quad City Chaos 2014 here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. You may be watching on Derby News Network. You may be watching on layer9.ca. You might even be watching on Canuck Derby TV. Hi, Johnny.
However you're watching, thank you for tuning in and watching. I'm the Derby Nerd here with Mr. Whistler on the mics, calling this fourth game of the first day of the 2014 Quad City Chaos between the Ohio Roller Girls and the Bleeding Heartland Flatliners. Ohio got off to a quick start, and they've maintained that momentum all the way through, save for a few power jams here and there, but they are clearly in control right now, 156-33 as we kick off the second half.
That's right. Penalties right now are in favor of Columbus, Ohio. They don't have a single skater over 2 trips to the box at this point. There's a few sitting on 3. Mercedes, number 70 for Bleeding Heartland, is sitting on 4.
Good start, though, to the second half for Bleeding Heartland as Knuckle Sammy is able to, pop her way through and pick up, and no points, no landing. She did not land, and I think if she had landed it would have been a cut anyway, so probably for the best that she didn't. But 0-0 despite getting the first lead of the second half for Bleeding Heartland. And there's your penalty box, 1 each. So 3-3 in the pack.
Yeah, that's Hop Devil in the box for Ohio. Still serving a penalty she picked up, I believe, at the end of the first half. And 38 Special Sass in the SugarBomb.ca penalty box for Bleeding Heartland. On the 1234 skate code jammer line right now, number 12 for Ohio. That's Kitty Lickerbottom. Kitty Lickerbottom is your lead jammer, although she does have to go back because Malls Dolls knocked her out of bounds.
So nice work from Malls to keep her in the pack, but unfortunately Bruzy Ricardo couldn't take advantage of it and couldn't get through, and Kitty Lickerbottom is back through the pack, and now on her scoring pass is Out of My Way Man and Avatar working together with some nice defense.
And ICU2 in the black for Ohio. In a flash, she's on her way to the box. She picked up an elbowing penalty.
And a flash had a big game earlier against Montreal. Strong performance. Avatar and Out of My Way Man, a nice imposing 2-wall for Ohio, 2 of their more experienced blockers.
Yeah, Bruzy Ricardo having all sorts of trouble getting through. Number 407, Aha Hurricane, comes up to give her some help. Malls Dolls and Mercedes up there as well. They've now taken over working on Kitty Lickerbottom.
Mercedes doing a nice job keeping them in play and allowing her blockers to hold them back. A nice little drag back there by Out of My Way Man, almost forcing a cut on Bruzy Ricardo, but Bruzy Ricardo just at the last minute managing to stay out of bounds. Kitty Lickerbottom now through, picked up points, and is already back around for another scoring pass and a nice little explosive burst of speed on the second straightaway. And an easy pass and an easy 5 more points, for Kitty Lickerbottom.
Yeah, Kitty Lickerbottom doing some quarterbacking for her blockers. She's also keeping an eye on the penalty box, the SugarBomb.ca penalty box, and now she is going to call it.
A nice jam there for the Ohio Roller Girls to take control of this game back. It's 165 now, 33.
For Bleeding Heartland, that's right. And I just want to tell you quickly about Jack in the Socks. They feel it doesn't matter whether your socks match or not, but at Jack in the Socks, their mission is to banish plain or boring socks from sock drawers everywhere, one forgettable pair at a time. You can visit them online at jackinthesocks.ca. And if you're sitting here in the bunker and you're watching this broadcast right now for some strange reason,
you're weird.
You can yes, but you can also visit their booth. Meanwhile, the Smacktivist is the lead jammer right now on the track, skating for Ohio in black, number 365.
Eddie Muncher. First jam of this game. Anyway, for Bleeding Heartland, they're trying to mix things up, see if they can get some offense going. Getting mixed up with Avatar, and it looks like it is. Nope. I thought the Bleeding Heartland jammer heading to the penalty box. Yes, with a forearm penalty.
Yeah, I think she tried to go back and managed to cross the point of no return by the turn 4 penalty box here at the bunker, and now has to go all the way around the outside before she can start serving that 60-second penalty.
And the worst situation imaginable for Bleeding Heartland, it's a 4-2 pack advantage, and Smacktivist is jamming this power jam. So big opportunity here for Ohio to pad an already substantial lead.
Avatar, Skate Crime, Lorraine Acid, and who else is up there?
Out of My Way Man.
Out of My Way Man, yes. Those 4 combined. Big fall there, though, for...
that was a high block on Out of My Way Man.
Yeah. That's going to send Shandarood to the SugarBomb.ca penalty box for Bleeding Heartland.
5 more points on the board for Smacktivist. Skate Crime, one of those skaters who's playing her 3rd game today. Lorraine Acid calmly tying her skates in the midst of this power jam, letting Smacktivist do some work, and the work was done. 5 more points on the board for Ohio Roller Girls. 157 points now is the lead. Smacktivist goes right in and absorbs that hit, now trying to split the 2-wall, and eventually just calls it off.
Yeah, Oxford Coma and Malls Dolls slowing down Mac just a bit near the old-fashioned pivot line. Malls Dolls just trying to confirm what the points were coming in on that final jam. But looks like they put up another 4. So 194 for Ohio, 33 for Bleeding Heartland. 24.5 minutes will be on the period clock by the time we get this jam started.
Knuckle Sammy back out there in white for Bleeding Heartland against Big Rig for Ohio in black, and Big Rig getting through the back wall first. Lorraine Acid with some nice one-on-one defense, getting some help now from her pivot avatar. Lorraine now moving to offense, trying to open up a hole, knocks down the Mercedes. Nice work by Lorraine Acid to clear that front of that pack and get her jammer through and get lead jammer, but Knuckle Sammy just about 10 feet back, and she's already caught Big Rig. And they're having a little jammer on jammer action at turn number 2.
2 very petite jammers right now. A lot of speed between the 2 of them.
And Knuckle Sammy has pulled into the lead, but Big Rig has control, and she just waits, calls it off. Nice little jammer battle there as the penalty box is empty out, and we're going to have a 5-on-5 jam. First time in a while.
Yeah, we almost had a bit of an issue for Bleeding Heartland at the beginning of that last jam because they did still have Shandarood in the box, and they almost sent out 1 too many on the track. In the last second, Mad Eye Maggie got called back to the bench. On the 1234 Skaco jammer line right now, we are looking at the Smacktivist for Ohio, and again, that's Speedy and Rear 135 in white for Bleeding Heartland.
Oh, Smacktivist with a big hit on Speedium Rear. Speedium Rear and Speedium Rear. Oh, and it's going to be an eat the baby kind of situation. Smacktivist feeding Speedium back into the pack all the way around. Very impressive play.
Doesn't quite absorb.
So she goes for it again. Unbelievable track sense for Smacktivist.
Yeah, that was impressive. Everybody's favorite move, try to get that 6-point pass.
And Lorraine Acid now pushing Speedium Rear out, and Speedium Rear has been taking a pounding this game, but she just keeps getting back up. Nice little move by Smacktivist, getting very low on the outside to get around for the 5 points. Speedium Rear still having a hard time, finally able to squeeze her way through on her initial pass.
Yeah, that actually was Smacktivist's initial pass, as it turns out.
Oh, was it? Oh, wow, interesting. I guess she got swallowed as she was attempting to swallow.
And they're knocked to the inside, now back up. Smacktivist getting a little bit of activity there with Hurricane.
And again, Speedium Rear being held at the rear of this pack. Avatar, the pivot, orchestrating some heavy defense on this jam.
And there's that first 5 points for the Smacktivist. That is a grand slam, bringing Ohio up to 199.
Speedium Rear through.
Showing some wear, though.
Oh, that was, I just figured out what happened. A little slow here. That was also Speedium Rear's first pass. They, of course, went backwards on the first pass. And yes.
That's right.
Sorry. Again.
But another 4
announcer
points.
brain.
That's a 9-point jam for the Smacktivist. They're sitting at 203 for Ohio, 33 for Bleeding Heartland.
Bleeding Heartland continues to widen their jammer rotation. Malls Dolls now on the jam line, number 594 in white. Out of my Wayman out there, number 10 for Ohio.
That is, of course, the 1234 Skaco jammer line, brought to us by the 1234 Skaco in Peterborough, Ontario.
Out of my Wayman immediately fighting with the front wall, trying to force her way through, but Malls Dolls also making her way to the front of the pack. Out of my Wayman gets through, takes a look, makes sure that the jammer is still held, and continues. Such smart jammers on these Ohio teams. Their jammers do a lot of blocking as well. It's been a staple of theirs for a long time. Even Smacktivist at the championships blocked quite a bit. Nice little move from out of my Wayman. Oh, and the Mercedes.
Yes.
Thanks.
Just lost her feet there. I think she got faked out by a bit of juking there on behalf of Out of My Way Man, and that led her to lose her footing over by turn 3 and take a tumble.
Ohio's starting to work the clock a bit now. We saw Out of My Wayman stop and look back and wait for just that moment to call off the jam. She did, and did so just in time. Knuckle Sammy now again out there against Big Red. They had a fascinating jam last time. Similar jammers in stature, style. Skate Crime is the pivot for Ohio out against Mercedes, who has barely taken a rest this half.
No, I think Mercedes is probably going to be in heavy rotation for the rest of this game.
And Big Rig trying to get physical right off the start with Knuckle Sammy. Knuckle Sammy having none of it, is back in the pack. Big Rig now takes a hit from Mercedes, but able to shug it off. Trying to push her way through on the inside on the second straightaway. We come to turn number 3, and a big hit right there.
That's
from Hurricane.
Yep.
Huge hit. And that may buy enough time for Knuckle Sammy to get through. Oh, it drew a penalty. This is a power jam now for the Bleeding Heartland Flatliners, and a big opportunity for them to try and make some noise here in the second half. They've been stuck on 33 points for over 10 minutes.
Yeah, Knuckles Sammy has finally made her initial pass. She is the lead jammer. She's in the driver's seat for this one. She's coming up against those at Avatar and
in a flash.
In a flash, ICU 2. Knuckles Sammy looking to get some help from her blockers.
Oh, and wow, Bleeding Heartland fighting for their first points of this half. Oh, and I think Knuckles Sammy finally picked up the points. And in a flash, heading to the penalty box, and there it is, first points of the half on the board. It took them over 11 minutes.
But they're doing it in style, picking up a grand slam on this power jam.
Oh, and Knuckles Sammy thought she had an inside line, and Avatar took it away. Unbelievable defense from the lone Ohio blocker on the track.
That's right. Knuckles Sammy smartly calling it. It's like going to try to reset, let Bleeding Heartland send out a fresh jammer and take over this power jam. 207.38 your score right now. The only jammer on the 1234 skate code jammer line is number 314, Bipolar Curves for the Flatliners.
4-2 pack advantage, as I said. Now, interesting, this is kind of what we saw in the second half of the game against CM Power 2. Bleeding Heartland kind of fading a bit, but again, early in the season.
Big Rig back on the track. Thigh Candy sees her coming. They slow her down, and that's going to allow Bleeding Heartland to pick up lead jammer for this one.
And a flash, the lone blocker out there trying to open up a hole against 4 Bleeding Heartland skaters. And that allows the jammer to get by Bipolar Curves and pick up 5 points. So a little bit of a run here for Bleeding Heartland.
Yeah, the pivot for Ohio, number 50, Skate Crime, has re-entered from the box.
Bipolar Curves being drawn back. Forcing to reset, tries to find a way through on the inside, goes out, and makes her way around turn number 1, picking up more points. So this is a 15-0 run now. Their first 15 points of the second half for Bleeding Heartland. And Big Rig trying to push through a 2-wall.
Coming up against Maul's Dolls at turn 3.
A jammer collision knocks down Big Rig, and Big Rig, who is one of the smallest Ohio jammers, is taking on the largest of the Bleeding Heartland packs, and she is being punished right now with some big hits from these Bleeding Heartland blockers. Oh, another big hit.
Yeah, that's number 2, Thigh Candy for Bleeding Heartland.
And Big Rig now looks for the pass, and the pass is made.
That's to number 50, Skate Crime, now picking up the star for Ohio.
Another 5-point pass for Bipolar Curves.
Skate Crime having a bit of an issue getting that helmet cover straightened so she can put it on her on top of her pivot cover.
And Bleeding Heartland continues to punish the Ohio Jammers on this full 2-minute jam. 30 points in a row now scored by Bleeding Heartland. Finally, they put an end to it. But a huge push here from Bleeding Heartland as we near the midway point of the second half, and the benches come alive.
Yeah, lots of excitement for the bench in white right now.
Easily the best jam of this game for Bleeding Heartland.
Yep, that was a 27-point jam.
Yeah.
They had 5 on the previous one, but 27 points on that jam for Bleeding Heartland, and that's going to put out to 65 rather, 207 for Ohio, but the halfway point in the second half of this bout.
So that's a 32-point run right now for Bleeding Heartland. But as we say, that Smacktivist, who had a couple jams off, is back on the track and is your lead jammer.
Yeah, Mac tumbling over, I think it was Mercedes over at turn 1. Managed to get back on her feet. Lead jammer for Ohio. Jamming right now for Bleeding Heartland is Eddie Muncher, 727. That jam's called. 4 points come in for Mac on that one. 211 for Ohio, 65 for Bleeding Heartland. Both these teams very happy, I'm sure, to be playing their final games of the day.
Yeah, it's a long day.
It's been a long day here. Like you said, we've got some skaters on Ohio playing their third of the day, having previously also played for their B team, Gangrene, a couple hours ago.
Yeah, and that's, again, another I think, the common thing that Ohio does is they travel with very few bodies with both their A and B team, and they get a lot of work on their stamina and endurance on these road trips. Kitty Lickerbottom having a hard time. There seems to be new life in these Bleeding Heartland blockers.
Yeah, and in their jammers, too. That's Knuckle Sammy, 44, lead jammer right now for Bleeding Heartland. She's coming around turn 4. She's going to start picking up some points here. Emphatic call off. She picks up 4 points and calls it, and we're going to see a timeout being called here by Ohio because they're seeing a bit of a pushback starting, and they don't like it. So they're going to take some time. This timeout, again, brought to you by Jackson Skates. Jackson Roller, a Canadian company committed to engaging lead skaters in product development to ensure its boots deliver world-class performance. Visit them, jacksonroller.com. And just taking a quick look at our penalty boards, we do have a couple of skaters now for Bleeding Heartland sitting on 5 trips to the box. That'd be number 2, Thigh Candy.
She's actually sitting on 6.
Oh, she's on 6. I can't see that 6 one.
Yeah,
got
there
an
is the
NSO in
NSO,
front.
yeah.
Oh, yep, she is sitting on 6. So we do have a skater in danger for Bleeding Heartland. Mercedes sitting on 4, as is the 38 Special Sass.
I'd like to point out that Mercedes hasn't picked up a penalty in this half, though.
No, that's right. Those were all first half penalties. Skating a lot cleaner right now.
And she's been skating a lot, too. Out there on the track right now, actually. Oh.
A bit of over-eagerness there on the 1234
Speaking of Mercedes, takes a hit from her own jammer.
Yeah, bipolar curves mistaking the end of timeout whistle for the start whistle on this next jam.
And now we are away, and Smacktivist getting physical with bipolar curves right off the start. Smacktivist then moving on to the inside.
Hurricane, last one to beat for the Smacktivist. Smacktivist does beat Hurricane and is lead jammer.
Lorraine Acid delivering a big hit, but bipolar curves able to shrug it off and get through. Smacktivist coming up on a scoring pass now. Sneaks through on the inside, picks up a few, and there is all 4 points.
Very nice move, getting around Mercedes. Completely undresses her on the track, and Smacktivist picking up some more points. 4 more for Ohio.
Kitty Lickerbottom back on the line, number 12 against Knuckle Sammy. Knuckle Sammy having another strong game for Bleeding Heartland. We've actually got ourselves an empty penalty box 5-on-5 roller derby to kick things off here with 13 minutes to go. Despite the Bleeding Heartland comeback, it's still a pretty substantial lead for Ohio Roller Girls. But Knuckle Sammy, their top scoring jammer out there right now, having some trouble though at the back of the pack with all 4 Ohio blockers committing to defense, allowing Kitty Lickerbottom to slowly spread out the Bleeding Heartland pack, 1 to beat, and she does. She's through lead jammer, Miss Kitty Lickerbottom. Lorraine Acid forcing a penalty.
Yeah, it looks like a back block being called. Back block being called on the Bleeding Heartland jammer. That's Knuckle Sammy in the SugarBomb.ca box. We have a power jam for Kitty Lickerbottom from Ohio.
And now Ohio retaking or reclaiming the momentum in this game. They had briefly lost it for about a 5-minute period there. They went on they had 32-0 run for Bleeding Heartland, but since that point it's been all Ohio again.
Yeah, Bruzy Ricardo out there right now along with Thigh Candy and looks like Mad Eye Maggie. They're the blockers out for Bleeding Heartland trying to stem the flow.
5 points pick up Kitty Lickerbottom coming around on another pass. A nice little juke at the back. Out of my way man comes up to peel off one of the blockers. Nice knockout, though, by number 51 from Bleeding Heartland.
Yeah.
Bruzy Ricardo, a little bit of a triple threat. And now going one-on-one against Kitty Lickerbottom on the second straightaway. Finally, Kitty Lickerbottom gets around, picks up 5 more points for the Ohio Roller Girls.
Kitty Lickerbottom talking to Inspector Muffin, the bench coach for Ohio, just looking to get some direction. What do you want me to do? He's telling her to keep going.
Bruzy Ricardo going for a big sweeping hit, didn't quite get there in time, and 5 more points put on the board for the Skaters in Black. Out of my wayman now going one-on-one against Knuckle Sammy Avatar, coming in to help out. Lorraine Acid getting in on the action as well. Finally, Knuckle Sammy being knocked to the outside, forced to re-enter all the way back, falls as she tries to make her way to the back of the pack, and the jam ends.
Yeah, just lost her footing in front of her own bench as she was trying to re-enter. But meanwhile, jam ends, and our score at the moment, 245 for Ohio, 69 for Bleeding Heartland.
Great performance from Ohio. Really nice bounce-back game from a performance they probably weren't that pleased with. I mean, I'm going to go on a limb and say that earlier today against Montreal, so this is a nice performance for Ohio.
That's right. And currently, Ohio is sending the Smacktivists back to the 1234 Skateco jammer line.
Against Eddie Muncher from Bleeding Heartland. Eddie Muncher, this is her second jam of the half. Picked up a penalty in the first one. See if she can stay out of the box here. So far doing a nice job of just staying in the middle of the pack, but Amy Spears.
Oh, big hit on Eddie Muncher from Avatar. She got swiped across the front there. Gets back up in a hurry.
Ohio really going with a short bench. We're seeing a lot of Amy Spears, Avatar, but they're playing a very strong game right now. Smacktivist in the pack, picking up points. Nice little move, pirouette on one foot. A nice 720 to evade those hits and get all 4 points and call it off.
Timeout being called here by Bleeding Heartland with just under 10 minutes left in the second half. Your score currently 249 for Ohio, 69 for Bleeding Heartland. Once again, this is an official Jackson Skates official team timeout in this case. Don't forget to learn about the Jackson Create a Skate program, which provides retailers and skaters with the opportunity to mix and match components to create skates best suited to the performance requirements. Visit them online at jacksonroller.com. And Derby Nerd, with about just under 10 minutes left here, we are looking at a difference in points of about 180 in favor of Ohio. What do you think we're going to see in the final 10 minutes of this bout?
Well, I think we're going to see Ohio really, I don't think they're going to step back at all. I think they're going to keep pushing, and they're going to try and build this score. Again, these are all WFTDA Division I sanctioned games, so point differential does matter, and I think they're going to have that massive loss to Montreal on their minds from earlier today, and they're going to want to try and make up some of those ranking points. And there we are.
Right. Momentary loss of picture, but we are back. And yes, after that loss to Montreal earlier today, any ground that they lost in the rankings table, Ohio is definitely looking to make up that distance right now as they take on Bleeding Heartland. New jammer on the line. That's Mercedes, number 70 for Bleeding Heartland. She's going up against number 10, Out of My Way Man for Ohio.
Well, Out of My Way Man just showing the strength and pushing through the Bleeding Heartland blockers to pick up lead jammer, but Mercedes is a pretty tough skater in her own right, and she is doing a nice job of shrugging off those hits from Amy Spears and getting through, but already Out of My Way Man is coming around and picking up points, weaving her way through the pack, looking for a whip from Amy Spears, gets it, gets through, and she wants to pick up the pace. Again, I think we're seeing Ohio work the clock a bit here.
Yep, they're trying to get everybody up to the front, eat some time, and also prevent the Bleeding Heartland Roller Girls from scoring.
Out of My Way Man, such a smart skater on the track, even as the jammer leading, can't help herself but lead her pack.
Yeah, they are on a mission, and someone else who has a mission is Neon Skates. Neon Skates' mission is to provide you with quality roller skates, accessories, and apparel. They offer great customer service because they want you to be just as happy with your roller skates as they are, and they will work happily with you to find the perfect skate and the perfect fit. Whether you're shopping for roller derby or recreational purposes, Neon Skates will try their darndest to make you a satisfied customer. 2 colorful locations, Ottawa, Montreal, skateneon.com.
Wow, Big Red getting hit to the outside for Ohio.
Meanwhile, Shanda Rude hit to the inside for Bleeding Heartland. Both jammers having to reset.
And there, Shanda Rude gets through. She's your lead jammer. Big Rig still unable to get past the front wall of Bleeding Heartland blockers. Finally on turn number 4 with only 1 to beat. She's finally through, but she's got about half the track to make up. And Shanda Rude very quickly enters the pack, calls it off, picks up.
Track cut being called at the end against Lorraine Acid of Ohio, so she's going to go to the box.
Still waiting for the points call. Tall Glass of Water was confirming something with Patricide as outside pack ref. And now gives the points, all 4 points, going up on the board for Bleeding Heartland.
Yep, so they're at 73. Ohio's at 253. We still have a 180 points differential in the favor of the Ohio Roller Girls, who are sending Smacktivist, with a big hit on Knuckles Sammy right off the line. However,
wow,
direction and gameplay call being made against Smacktivist. Smacktivist making a rare trip to the penalty box.
Avatar and Out of My Way Man doing a nice job at the front of the pack to hold Knuckles Sammy back. Really kill off a lot of time already on this power jam. Knuckles Sammy still looking to make her first pass. Brilliant work from Avatar. Killing a lot of clock. 30 seconds it took for Knuckles Sammy to get through and get lead jammer.
Yeah, Avatar also looks like she's looking to stake her claim towards one of those MVP awards that will be given out tomorrow.
On a nice, speaking of Avatar, delivers a nice big shoulder-to-shoulder hit. Very clean. She and Out of My Way Man all alone on the track, but it doesn't seem to phase them at all. Finally, Knuckles Sammy gets through, picks up the 5 points.
That's going to bring Bleeding Heartland to 78. I'm sure they would like to hit triple digits in the short, near future. Lorraine Acid now back on the track for Ohio.
Oh, nice hit from Out of My Way Man, and she's going to drag her way back. Mercedes, though, does stop that drag back before it can get too bad. But nonetheless, Knuckles Sammy calls off that jam.
Yeah, Bleeding Heartland looking to get back on the scoreboard. They picked up 4 more at the end of that jam, so they're at 82, 253 for Ohio. Right now on the 1234 Skako jammer line, number 314 Bipolar Curves for Bleeding Heartland, and number 12 Kitty Lickerbottom for Ohio. Oops, sorry.
Kitty's pivoting.
That she's pivoting, thank you, because the Smacktivist is standing in the box.
So used to seeing number 12 on that jam line.
That's right. And also not used to seeing the Smacktivist in the SugarBomb.ca penalty box.
That's right. And Smacktivist, though, is standing, and she now making the way out of the pack.
Amazing work right now by the Ohio blockers, Avatar and Out of My Way Man, dragging Bipolar Curves all the way back to the jammer line from the pivot line.
And Smacktivist now fighting through a front wall, going chest to chest with the Bleeding Heartland blocker, and it is Smacktivist from the penalty box picking up lead.
Bipolar Curves has completed her initial pass as well, so now we have a bit of a jammer race, so the Smacktivist has a healthy lead.
Bleeding Heartland trying to slow things down here, but once again, just seeing Ohio dominate the pace of these packs, despite being split. And Smacktivist calls it off. And that'll be done. It seems appropriate for me to thank Nerd Roller Skates Incorporated, another one of our sponsors for the weekend. Nerd Roller Skates is Calgary's skate shop. Nerds who love roller skates, people who roll, they're here to serve you. When you see the Nerd Roller Skates banner during the broadcast, send a tweet to @NerdSkates, including the hashtag Quad City Chaos, and they'll enter you in a draw to win a $50 gift card. So nerds, get on that.
Nerds are uniting here at Quad City Chaos.
I love nerds.
Nerdy nerds. Number 10, Out of My Way Man, jamming right now for Ohio is your lead jammer. Number 13 for Bleeding Heartland, Shanda Rude.
And Shanda Rude finds some way through on the inside and picks up.
Does not.
Well, I didn't say a legal way. I just said a way.
Well, yes, very well played. So Shanda Rude is in the SugarBomb.ca penalty box with a cutting penalty, and that's going to be an opportunity for Out of My Way Man, the Ohio captain. See if they can put some more distance between the Ohio Roller Girls and Bleeding Heartland.
It's been nice to watch Out of My Way Man. The first time I ever saw her skate was 2 years ago in May 2011 when Gang Green played the Bay Street Bruisers. Out of My Way Man, still a member of the B team at that time, and has really come a long way to be one of the leader on this Ohio Roller Girls team.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was May 2012.
2012,
that close game.
Yes.
Which is, I'm now realizing, I was on that call with Monochrome here on Tord TV.
Oh, nice.
Memories.
Oh, memories.
We're making new ones here, though, at Quad City Chaos 2014. Out of My Way Man, getting past Mercedes, number 70 for Bleeding Heartland, and that's going to be another 5 big roller derby points for Ohio.
Nice little battle going on at the back of the pack. Lorraine Acid holding back, but eventually getting called for a direction of gameplay. They trying to trap one of the skaters. Big hit. And another one from Thigh Candy, just pounding away on Out of My Way Man.
Shanda Rude, meanwhile, has re-entered play.
Oh, and Shanda Rude has cut a... Oh, no, sorry. I was mistaken. I wasn't being called on her. But Shanda Rude, the big hit on Wayman, and Wayman is smiling as she is slow to get up, asking for some help. And Wayman seems to be a little shaken and calls it off finally. Small victories here for Bleeding Heartland, but they are mentally, they're staying in this game. The bench is still very active and alive, and they're cheering every victory.
Meanwhile, it does appear as if number 2 for Bleeding Heartland, Thigh Candy, has fouled out of the game, picking up her 7th major, her 7th penalty.
Yep. So they will need to put someone into the bench. They are into the penalty box.
Yep. Timeout being called, official timeout, I think, as they just get this sorted. Those of you watching at home, wherever you are watching, we have just under 2 minutes left on the period clock. Coming up in about half an hour, it's going to be the game you've all been waiting for. Not that you weren't waiting for this one, but
no.
If you're north of the border, I know that'll be the one you've been waiting for, between Montreal, number 17 in the WFTDA, and number 29, Toronto.
There they are.
That's the new Skids on the block in the green. Another look at your whiteboard, and there you see number 2 crossed out on the whiteboard. Those last 3 cuts did her in.
That is Thigh Candy gone for Bleeding Heartland.
Sorry, those last 3 direction gameplay calls. My bad.
Smackavist and Knuckle Sammy out there on the track with just under 2 minutes to go. Whenever we are at that 2-minute mark, this could be the last jam of the game. Nice battle between the 2 jammers at the back of the pack, going shoulder to shoulder. Finally, it's the Smackavist who gets through first. A nice work at the front of the pack, though, to try. Malls Dolls trying to hold Smackavist in, but eventually Smackavist must be let go. The lead jammer goes to Ohio once more. Knuckle Sammy getting past Skate Crime. Yeah,
Skate Crime a little distracted there, I think, trying to hear what was being called from the infield. Didn't look over on the right, and that allowed Knuckle Sammy to skate through, make her initial pass.
Briefly, the lone jammer or blocker on the track for Ohio, but oh, big hit on Knuckle Sammy, but Knuckle Sammy right back up quickly. Not feeling the effects of that.
Well, she might be feeling it, but she's back up and skating nonetheless. Lots of give and take here. Lots of compete in both of these teams. Haven't seen anybody shut anything down. None of their games earlier today or happening right now. Time is running down. We have about 30 seconds left on the period clock, about a minute and a half left on the jam clock.
Smacktivist looking to increase this lead to 300 points, and I believe that is just happened. And now it's over 300 points. 200 points, thank you. Again, announcer math.
Announcer math is different math. Smacktivist doing a great job staying on the track. Very hard to take Mac out of bounds. Those toe stops always know where to be.
That's right.
And are they calling the jam yet? No, they're not. Going back for more. Yes, now Smacktivist is calling that jam. And no chance for any more timeouts. Our unofficial final does put Ohio with a 201 point victory, 291-90. We will wait for it to be made official.
Well, Bleeding Heartland really had a great second half. That was a big problem. They were outscored 250 or thereabouts to 6 against CM Power in the second half, and The way things started, it took them 11 minutes to get scoring, but then they went on that 32-0 run to get kind of back into this game. So an impressive performance from Ohio, though, who really controlled things from the opening jam right through late here into the second half.
That's right. And we are seeing a couple more late points. They're trickling in for Bleeding Heartland. I feel like we're watching election results right now as the last precincts are reporting. While we've been talking, 3 more points have come in for Bleeding Heartland. Scoreboard still showing it as unofficial, and now it is official. 291 for Ohio, 94 for Bleeding Heartland.
So Ohio now goes to 1-1 for this year's Quad City Chaos, and Bleeding Heartland drops to 0-2. The 22nd ranked Ohio Roller Girls having Bleeding Heartland's number. That is the 5th career victory for this team over Bleeding Heartland. They now have a perfect 5-0 record against their Midwest opponents.
That's right. And for Bleeding Heartland, that is now their 9th consecutive sanctioned loss, I believe.
Oh.
I have to double check if all 7 of those previous ones were sanctioned. But they are on a bit of a losing streak.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking to see if they can break that goose egg on their next game, and that's going to be tomorrow. For Bleeding Heartland. They're playing at 1 o'clock against the Montreal New Skids, so they're going to be in tough for that one. At 3 o'clock tomorrow, we will see Toronto CN Power playing Ohio. But coming up in just under half an hour, we will be seeing Toronto CN Power, number 29 in WFTDA, taking on Montreal's New Skids, number 17. I believe you'll be back on the call for that one.
I will be
Single
back.
Malt Scott.
I will be back, yes, with Single Malt Scott. And
I'll be on the floor.
That's right. We'll hear you with Plastic Patrick, the
That's
legendary
right.
Plastic Patrick.
The
will
legendary
be in the house.
Plastic Patrick. That's right. We've had a lot of fangirling happening around Patrick this weekend. It's been a while since we've had Patrick here at the bunker. We're very excited that not only is Montreal here, but all their incredible people.
Yep.
Not to mention the fact that between Montreal and Toronto combined, who we'll be seeing shortly, we have nearly half of Team Canada represented. There are 5 members of Team Canada on Toronto, 9 on Montreal.
Although I should point out, only 3 of the
Toronto
skaters will be in the game.
That's right. Nasher is not with us this evening, and neither is Rainbow Fight. She will not be on the track. But also we have management represented, of course, Ewan What Army working the bench for the New Skids. She is also a member of the management team for Team Canada.
That's right.
So that's a bit of a preview for any of you people who are going to be watching or going to Dallas in December of this year. You're going to get a bit of a sneak peek at who some of those Team Canada players are as they go head-to-head tonight.
That's right. So again, that is coming up in just under 30 minutes, about 27 minutes from now. You will see Montreal's New Skids on the block taking on Toronto's CN Power. They are the hosts here, of course, at the Quad City Chaos. For Mr. Whistler and the whole Tord TV crew, I'm the Derby Nerd. Again, we'll be back in 27 minutes.